Let me be clear. The 5 major problems of Black America in the 21st century as we head into the year 2021 are, in no particular order, miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, and access to wealth. I'll repeat: miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, and access to wealth. And guess what? Neither President Trump nor President-elect Biden articulated a clear and specific program to address any one of the 5-headed monsters that Black America has to deal with.
It's about time Africans and Africans in diaspora start discarding some indoctrinations and ideologies that we have learned for centuries. Many things that we learned has turned out to be untruths. Majority of the things that we have learned. And that is why I keep on bringing you some videos from some Black heroes that has empowered Black people for centuries. And I've come across another video from Dr. Umar Ifatunde. I want us to watch this message. I will be back.
This is my message to Black America and to the entire African family. I want to focus at this time, which is the end of the 2020 calendar year. I want to focus on what we've been through and where we need to go as a community and as a people. 2020 was a very challenging year for the American African community. We've had to deal with COVID, the crisis, the shutdown, the reopening. We've had to deal with police genocide on an extremely massive level. We've had to deal with the most comprehensive protests in America since the Dr. King assassination riots. And more recently, we've had to deal with the transitioning to office of newly elected President Joe Biden and first female Vice President Kamala Harris. As I go back over the past year, the 3 biggest concerns that I have is, number 1, the protests. Let's start with the protests that began with the assassination of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and others. We as a community made 3 mistakes with those protests. The first mistake that we made is that we did not contain the protests to the American African community. It was a multicultural effort. And because it was a multicultural effort, it was easily infiltrated. And the narrative, as well as the direction and focus, were easily turned away from police genocide and oppression against African people. By the time the protests ended, which were the most extensive ones since 1968, the issues that were relevant to Black people were largely ignored by modern media, mainstream media, and the issues that were relevant to other non-white minority groups took precedence. If you look back at those protests, they ended with Donald Trump signing a historic Hispanic prosperity bill. If you look back at those protests, they ended with comments from former Vice President Joe Biden and now newly elected President Joe Biden speaking of a possible conversation over reparations, but only if it included Native Americans. Those protests also ended in a United States Supreme Court decision that basically concluded that you could not discriminate against members of the LGBTQ community in regards to employment. So homosexuals got something out of the protests. Native Americans got something out of the protests. Hispanics got something out of the protests. And we take no issue with any of those groups getting their right to resources and justice. But those protests grew out of the angst and the anger and the impatience and the pain and hurt of American Africans who have been dealing with police genocide for 400 years. And what did we get out of it? Nothing. And we are largely responsible for that. White Americans outnumber American Africans 4-1. If you allow them to get involved in any initiative that we undertake, you can almost guarantee that they will end up dominating the agenda, dominating the narrative, and ultimately deciding the outcome. One of the things that American Africans are going to have to get comfortable with doing as we move into the year 2021 is we're going to have to get comfortable standing alone. We're going to have to get comfortable being by ourselves. We're going to have to get comfortable with speaking up for Black people, exclusively for Black people. Not that we wish any ill of any other community, but we have to be honest. We have always spoken for everyone, but everyone has not always spoken for us. When these other non-white minority groups come together, they stand up for their own agenda only. They rarely, if ever, mention American Africans. When we speak for everyone. And I am here today to tell you, as we end this year and go into a new year, the time for speaking up for all minorities is over. American Africans must now speak for ourselves alone and do so in an unapologetically African fashion. So number one, we did not stand alone. Number two, regarding the protests, we did not have official spokespersons whose jobs were to articulate the agenda, the needs, and the demands of the American African community. Because there was no official voice for the protests were easily hijacked by other minority groups, hijacked by the media, hijacked by the U.S. government, hijacked by the Democratic Party into fulfilling whatever narrative they wanted to push. The protests were used as a rally for Joe Biden, who never produced any program to deal with police genocide. So we have to look at the fact that we did not effectively exploit the attention that was put on the protests to serve our own agenda because we did not have any official spokespersons. Number three, and finally, the third concern I had with the 2020 protests for justice that were initiated with the assassinations of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor was the fact that the Black platform was not put out to the world in a very clear and concise form so that people could understand exactly what we wanted. We should have had at least a 10-point program of demands for Black people that included everything from gentrification to police genocide to miseducation to access to wealth to mass incarceration. And we should have articulated specifically the changes that we wanted to see and the resources that we wanted to receive, and we didn't do any of that. So unfortunately, brothers and sisters, the greatest protest in American history since Dr. King's assassination came and went with no obvious benefits to Black America. With that being said, I want to say thank you to the young people who went out there and marched. I want to say thank you to the young brothers and sisters who courageously took to the streets. And although those protests were clearly co-opted by other people with counter agendas, I want to say thank you for standing up for Ahmaud Arbery. Thank you for standing up for Breonna Taylor. Thank you for standing up for George Floyd. Thank you for standing up for against police genocide, Thank you for standing up against police genocide. It was necessary. And your efforts were not in vain because, as the most honorable Marcus Garvey told us, what we do today that is worthwhile will inspire others to act at some future time. So you did not waste your time. You served as a role model and as an example, not only to other young American Africans, but to the entire global African family as to what it is we will need to do in order to gain the much needed changes that we want. So thank you. Number two, on the issue of police genocide, as we go into the new year of 2021, we need to understand very clearly that the reason Donald Trump and the reason Joe Biden did not produce a specific plan to address police genocide is because in the United States of America, the two largest unions and the two most powerful unions and the two richest unions happen to be the teachers' unions and the police unions. This is precisely why no president in recent history has ever even attempted to improve education for black children, and they have not even ever attempted to hold police accountable for the unjustified murders of black people. Schools don't change and police don't change. And the reason schools don't change and police don't change is because every politician, every preacher, every community leader, most of them, and especially the politicians, are intimidated and afraid of holding police and teachers accountable because it will be difficult to become governor. It will be difficult to become a president. It will be difficult to become a mayor. It will become difficult to be a state rep or a U.S. rep or a state senator or a U.S. senator if you want to hold the police or the teachers accountable. So we have to understand that, and we have to move accordingly. So as we go into the new year, it is my hope that we build our own black political unions so that we can begin to hold our own town hall meetings and debates with those who hope to earn the American African vote. It is my hope that we understand that the time has come for us to distance ourselves from both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, irrespective of how you feel about President Biden or President Trump, irrespective of how you feel about Vice President Pence or Vice President Harris. Black America must have its own independent political base, and Black America must have its own independent economic base. If you don't have either of those, there will never come a time in America's future where you will be respected, taken seriously, or your agenda given significant attention. You must be willing to stand out like a sore thumb, because until Black America begins to stand out like a sore thumb, Black America will never be able to garner the justice and the change that we need. The COVID crisis, as bad as it was, and I send condolences out to all members of our community who lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID crisis. I want to say that the COVID crisis provided us with an opportunity to take our destiny into our own hands. The shutting down of the American social order, the shutting down of American infrastructure, forced Black people to educate their own children, whether they wanted to or not. It forced Black people to become creative economically because many of the stores were shut down except those which were deemed essential. And so we had to create a life for ourselves for several months where we could not depend on local government, state government, or federal government, not for food, not for housing, not for education, in many cases, not for medical attention, and up until the stimulus package was released, not even for our basic economic needs. Although that was a very traumatic experience, it was also a necessary one from a growth standpoint. Black America is still crawling on her knees. Black America has not begun to walk on its own. COVID took away the crutches. COVID took away the stroller. COVID took away the high chair. And COVID forced us for the first time in a very long time to do for ourselves. With that being said, unfortunately, as I said earlier, I believe that we would have been better served had the COVID crisis taken place during a non-election year. History would have it that as soon as we come out of COVID, it is now time for the presidential elections. And so black people who had just began to take their destiny into their own hands were distracted by a presidential election that did not have any major tenets focused upon the best interests of black people. Let me be clear. The 5 major problems of black America in the 21st century as we head into the year 2021 are, in no particular order, miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, and access to wealth. I'll repeat: miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification, police genocide, and access to wealth. And guess what? Neither President Trump nor President-elect Biden articulated a clear and specific program to address any one of the 5-headed monsters that black America has to deal with. Part of that is our fault because we have been married to the Democratic Party for well over 50 years, although there is no justification for that loyalty. And as long as we are going to commit our vote to any party, I don't care if it's the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, if we're going to dedicate our vote to a particular political party that has no agenda to rescue, save, or provide black America with resources, then we will always be mocked, we will always be ignored, and we will always be overlooked. So as we go into the new year, learning from COVID, learning from the 2020 protests for justice, learning from all of the police violence and the police assassinations and maimings of black people, we need to change our behavior. Specifically, I recommend, number 1, stop falling in love with politicians and stop being loyal to political organizations that are not committed to your best interests. The Democratic Party is not committed to black America. The Republican Party is not committed to black America, nor should we be committed to them. The problem with black people is that we have to like people in order to vote for them. We have to like people in order to vote for them. That's not good. You don't have to like somebody's personality in order to enter into a business arrangement for mutually beneficial outcomes. People do business with people every day that they do not like. You don't have to like somebody to do business. You simply have to have an understanding with them. We have to get out of this personal relationship with politicians and get more interested into the outcomes of a temporary political alignment or agreement. So that's number 1. Let's become more non-emotional and more intellectual in our assessment of political candidates and political parties. Number 2, we have to start building independent black institutions and organizations. We will not survive. We will not survive the 21st century if we do not build our own community infrastructure. We need our own banks. We need our own schools. We need our own hospitals. We need our own social services. We need our own factories. We need our own distribution networks. Black people had better get serious about embracing the reality that a future on this planet or in this country will only be guaranteed for those who build it for themselves. The days of waiting for the United States government to deliver to you resources and opportunities are over. America has effectively and successfully propagated a narrative that says she has done all she needs to do to help black people compete on an equal footing with whites. And the culmination of her contribution to the black equality movement was the election of President Barack Obama. And unfortunately, to our detriment, Black Obama co-signed the narrative that he was the culmination of an unofficial reparations package for black people. We bought into that, we co-signed it, and we are now suffering from it. Many of you who follow my work, you have heard me tell you before that Donald Trump will be the alarm clock that awakens the sleeping Negro who took the Barack Obama sleeping pill. You are now awakened. And it is our fault that America can now ignore us because we treated Barack Obama as if he was some sort of gift from God. Number 3, we have to build our own schools. We must build our own schools. You cannot ever expect the same community that enslaved and dehumanized you to properly prepare your children to compete equitably with their own. The miseducation of black children, and boys in particular, is done on purpose to guarantee that opportunities for white children and white males in particular will always be protected and safeguarded. To say this another way, your black son is put in special education, and your black son is given an inferior education, and your black son is diagnosed with ADHD, and he is given dangerous mind-altering medications so that by the time he becomes an adult, his brain, his mind, and his opportunities will be so impeded that the American social order need not worry about him being able to take any opportunities or resources away from the white child. If you do not want black children to remain a permanent underclass in this country, you're going to have to create independent educational institutions in order to liberate the consciousness of our youth in order that they can compete with the self-esteem and self-belief necessary to rid themselves of racism and white supremacy. Let us not fool ourselves. Black people suffer from a learned helplessness. Let us not fool ourselves. Black people are largely a self-defeated people. I don't care how many trips you take to Africa. I don't care how much comedic science you know. It doesn't matter how many history books you have read. It doesn't matter whether you dress in an African way or sat at the foot at some of our grandmaster teachers. At the end of the day, you judge a people's desire for freedom by the extent to which they have went to secure it. You judge a people's thirst for liberation by the extent to which they have gone to obtain it. You cannot tell me that we want to be free And yet we send our children to America's public, charter, private, parochial, and independent schools so they can be taught how to worship European culture and hate their own native African culture. You cannot tell me that black people want to be free after voting for President Joe Biden. They go right to the streets and start hemorrhaging billions and billions of dollars on useless Christmas gifts that would have been better used, funds and money that would have been better used building the institutions and infrastructure that we need. Show me how a man spends his money, and I'll show you how motivated he is to change his condition. Show me how a man spends his money, and I will show you how motivated he is to change his condition. With that being said, I have a very special message for black parents whose children attend public and charter school in America. If you attend public and charter school in America, your children, there is a special education hustle that is going around that I want you to understand. There is a COVID hustle that public and charter schools are using in order to take financial advantage of black children, and I want to explain this to you. As you know, many of our children, most of them, are receiving homebound, online, computer-based instruction. They're receiving their instruction from the teacher through Google Classroom or through Zoom. As a result of our children being home, not being in the classroom to receive their instruction, many of them are having a difficult time focusing on the lessons that the teacher is delivering. Many of our children live in homes that are very busy. They live in homes with multiple siblings. They live in homes with multiple televisions, multiple cell phones, multiple radios, multiple laptops. Our homes can be very busy. Any child's home can be very busy. I'm sure it's the same for white children, for Asian children, for Arab children, for Mexican children, for Latino children. But I'm focusing on our children in particular, especially because the outcomes for academic failure for black children are more detrimental than they are for the failure of any other child. So getting back to my point, our children are struggling to remain focused at home, receiving instruction through a computer. Now, I can tell you as a former school principal, I can tell you as a current school psychologist, that our children have a very difficult time of maintaining focus in the classroom, which is partly due to the poor curricular and instructional design of the lessons in that classroom. This was difficult before COVID. This was difficult before home-based instruction. Our children had trouble paying attention in the classroom. That's exactly why we have an ADHD crisis. That's exactly why we have a psychiatric medication prescription crisis. So now you take this child who had trouble focusing in the classroom, and you put him at home in front of a computer with all of these distractions, and you're forcing him to try to learn by way of a computer from a teacher who he or she may have already had a difficult time learning from in the classroom. This has created an extreme crisis in inattention, an extreme crisis in focus, an extreme crisis in irritability. And as a result of this, I am hearing from parents and teachers that our children are struggling significantly to learn at home with this computer-based instruction. Although we all know why they can't focus, because of distractions in their environment and boring teachers on the computer, not to mention that that computer is serving as a barrier for the teacher to be able to really engage the child. It's no different than you attending a concert in person versus watching a concert on television. Although you may enjoy watching a concert on television, the television concert does not compare at all to the experience you would have if you were in the arena watching your favorite artist perform. It's the same thing with our children. If they had trouble paying attention in the classroom, they're going to have even more trouble paying attention at home on the computer. But guess what the schools are doing? Guess what America's public and charter schools are doing? Guess what's happening right here in Brooklyn? Guess what's happening right here in Queens? Guess what's happening right here in Harlem? Guess what's happening right here in Staten Island? Guess what's happening right here in the Bronx? Teachers are prematurely and unnecessarily referring Black children for special education evaluation for learning disability classification because their grades are dropping, and they are using COVID as an excuse to test, evaluate, classify, and place your child in special education classrooms and special education programming so they can get the extra money that comes to the school and district from the state and federal government as a result of your child being placed in special education. So Black parents, I want you to hear me loud and clear. Please, please think twice before you allow the school to evaluate your child for special education as a result of their grades slipping, when you know that the reason their grades are slipping is because you're not making them sign in to school on a daily basis. You're not making them do their homework. You're not checking on them when they are online getting their instruction. When you know that the teacher is boring, the lesson plans are not engaging, the curriculum is not relevant, or if you know that your child has personal problems that are distracting them from focusing, emotional problems, family problems, they're not getting enough sleep, they're not being fed the proper diet, they didn't go to kindergarten, they missed a lot of school, you have not yet tried tutoring, there's a billion reasons. There's a billion reasons that can explain why your New York City children are struggling at home being taught through Google Classroom, Zoom, or any other platform. It is difficult for children to focus. It is difficult for children to pay attention. It is difficult for children to understand what's going on when the instruction is not engaging and the computer is the medium. Special ed is a hustle. Special ed is a racket. And brothers and sisters, I want you to please don't let the school exploit your ignorance for a paycheck in the name of special education on the back of your child. After all, if the teachers are not coming to the home, and if the child is not going to the school or not going to the school often, what good is special education going to be for your child who's at home? If the classroom teacher can't reach him at home, what good is the special education teacher going to do? She's not going to do any good. This is being done for money, and this is being done for resources. So brothers and sisters, as it relates to education, we have to take the destiny into our own hands. 6 years ago, we began raising money for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. We have been blessed by the Most High under the assistance of our ancestors to now own 2 beautiful school buildings. We are in the process of renovating those school buildings in Wilmington, Delaware, and we need your help to continue to aid us in this mission. For more information on the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, please visit my website, drumarjohnson.com. That's drumarjohnson.com, or you can reach me by telephone at 215-989-9858. Again, 215-989-9858. The Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy will be an institution dedicated to the proper preparation of Black boys for manhood in every sphere of human endeavor that is necessary. We will be teaching 6 core curriculums in addition to math, in addition to science, in addition to social studies, in addition to language arts. We will be teaching agricultural and agronomical science, political and military science, dietary and nutritional science. We will be teaching the science of the Black man and woman. We will be teaching the science of African cosmology and African spirituality. And we will be teaching economic and financial science. We will teach our children African language. We will teach them how to live. We will teach them how to defend their families, how to defend themselves. We will teach them meditation. We will teach them the self-help skills of living. Brothers and sisters, this will be America's first revolutionary Pan-African Nationalist Academy dedicated not just to college preparation, but to nation building and liberation of the global African family. As I move away from education, I want to say to those of us who are in the Black consciousness community and those of us who are in the grassroots sector of work, we have been a disappointment to our people. The time has come to put our petty differences to the side. The time has come to put our ideological grievances with one another to the side. The time has come for us to stop focusing so much on the dissemination of information to now where we need to focus on the creation of institutions and the building of infrastructure. Information is not going to save Black people, but organization will. So I will be hosting inside the walls of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, as soon as renovations are complete, which we hope to be this coming spring, an organizational roundtable. At that table, I want the Nation of Islam represented. At that table, I want the Black socialists represented. At that table, I want the Nuwapians represented. At that table, I want the Hebrews represented. At that table, I want the Gods and Earths represented. At that table, I want the new Black Panther Party and the old Black Panther Party represented. At that table, I want all of the various major Black grassroots organizations and leaders represented, so we can come together as a united vanguard to do work together under one umbrella to bring about the complete total liberation of African people. We have to wage war on mass incarceration. We have to wage war on miseducation. We have to wage war on gentrification. We have to wage war on police genocide. We have to wage war on economic castration, brothers and sisters. And we have to do it non-denominationally. The Black conscious community has become a mockery. It has become a joke. And we are not relevant in the lives of our people beyond the dissemination of information. And that has to change. It must stop. And I'm going to lead the way in making that happen. As I move over into the state of the Black family, Black men and women have to stop fighting each other. We have to stop blaming each other. We have to stop attacking each other. And we have to stop feeding into this American social order narrative and government strategy that has us blaming each other for an assault that is 100% the responsibility of the United States government, her infrastructure, her institutions, and our social order. I need black women to understand that the black man is not your enemy. I need black men to understand that the black woman is not your enemy. I need you all to understand that our children are watching us. Our children are watching us, and if they see us fight, if they see us not trust each other, if they see us hurl insults at each other over YouTube, over Facebook, over Instagram, if they see that, then they will repeat that. We don't want the next generation being affected by our own illness. Stop the fighting of black men and women. We will have programs at FDMG, Team Pan-African, the international movement for the independence and protection of African people, takes the preservation and creation of black family very seriously. We will be building a black consciousness dating initiative where brothers and sisters who are looking for the appropriate mates will be able to find them. We will be having programs for black men and women who are already married or in a committed relationship to stay together. And we will be having programs for those who are not married, who are looking for a suitable mate. We have to target the black family specifically for intervention because America has been waging war on the black family since the 1960s. Waging war on the woman, waging war on the man, waging war on the child. I want black women to understand the welfare programs in America were not created to help you or your child. The welfare programs were created to distract you from fighting for the black man. The welfare programs were designed to distract the black woman from fighting for the black man. In other words, food stamps and WIC in Section 8 became the symbolic black man in the household. That's exactly why many Section 8 programs, even to this very day, do not allow able-bodied men to be in the home in order for you to receive the benefit. And even in states that do allow able-bodied men to be in the home to receive Section 8 housing, none of them allow a man with a felony on his record to live in that house, even if that is his wife and even if that is his children. So clearly we see that the welfare programs has as one of its goals the separation of the black man and woman. I need the black man to understand that the United States order intentionally educated the black woman to the detriment of the black man, to drive a wedge between the two so that we would not be humble enough to still be strong enough as a man to love and care for a black woman even if she makes more money than we do, to love and care for a black woman even if she has a greater or more prestigious job than we have. A black woman who's a doctor still needs to be loved. A black woman who's a lawyer still needs to be loved. A black woman who is a nurse still needs to be loved. A black woman who owns her own business still needs to be loved. And there's no universal law that says a black woman can't be loved by a black man making half her salary. There's no universal law that says a black woman can't be loved by a black man who works with his hands. There's no universal law that says a black woman can't be loved by a black man who works a regular traditional 9-to-5 job. We need each other, and we have to stop fighting because the black family is the foundation of the black community. And if there is no family, there will be no community. With that being said, I want to challenge our single black men to recommit yourselves to black women. I want to challenge you to only date and marry within our community. Our children need to see strong and healthy examples of black men loving and marrying black women. Please stop dating outside the community. I have nothing negative to say to the white woman. I have nothing negative to say to the Latino woman, the Asian woman, the Arab woman, but because I love my sisters, because I am devoted to the black woman, I am asking all black men who are single to make a concerted effort to stay within the community when building your family. And I'm going to challenge the black woman, our sisters, our beautiful queens, to do the same thing, to date within the race, date within the community, not from a bigoted perspective, not from a supremacist perspective, but from a self-love perspective. If there is no black family, there will be no black future. Moving on, we have to get our economics together, and we have to get our psychology together. And our economics and our psychology go hand in hand. In order for black people to overcome the oppression and backwardness that we experience in this country and in this world, we have to get the economics together and we have to get the psychology together. Money and mental health is the crux of the black liberation struggle. Money and mental health is the crux of the black liberation struggle. Why have we not made more progress? Where we don't have our money organized. Why have we not made more progress? Because we have organizational issues that stem from a mental health crisis of self-hatred. We have a mental health crisis of self-hatred, and we have an economic crisis of self-hatred. What are black people in New York City doing right now? What are black people in New York City doing at this very moment? We are shopping. New York City is the largest and strongest black economy in the United States and the strongest one in the world by far. In terms of spending power, black New York is the king of the global African world economically. There is no population in the world where African people have the spending power of black New York. But look at what you're doing with it. You're out shopping right now, buying useless Christmas gifts. I want to challenge you to save that money. I want to challenge you. Let's put that money together and build a black New York City grassroots credit union. Not for the church, not for the politicians, not for the fraternity or the sorority, but for the black community. An empowerment credit union. It only takes $250,000 to build a credit union. It only takes $250,000 to build a credit union in New York City. Why not build a credit union on your way to building a massive black New York City bank? That is how we need to be thinking. That is how we need to be thinking. And if we're going to do that and do it effectively, we have to overcome our division. We have to overcome our self-hatred. We have to overcome our dark skin supremacy, our light skin supremacy, our long hair supremacy, our natural hair supremacy, our education supremacy, our corner boy supremacy. We are affected, as the Honorable Marcus Garvey said, with too many petty differences that are serving to keep us separated and are not serving to bring us together. So I'm asking you to get a hold of the slave master that lives within your soul. I'm asking you to recognize, to understand, and overstand that the oppressor lives up you and is taking up space, lives within you and is taking up space within your mind without paying rent. And that oppressor, that slave master that lives deep within the psyche of every African has to be removed. If you don't recognize the European consciousness within you, you will never realize the African potential that is destined within you. If you never realize the European oppressor that is in you, you will never be able to ultimately manifest the African consciousness that God put within you. Brothers and sisters, Let's be more patient with each other. Let's be more understanding with each other. Let's be less suspicious of one another. No more gossiping in 2021. New Year's resolution, no more spending money on useless things. New Year's resolution, buy black first, buy everybody else second. I understand that you might have to buy something from a non-African business, a non-African person, because we're currently not manufacturing everything. I understand that. But make sure you buy black first. As long as you buy black first, and as long as you practice unapologetically African first, we will be all right as a family. Brothers and sisters, although we are disorganized, although we are self-hating, although we have very few institutions, although we are so suspicious of one another, although self-hatred is at an all-time high, I have confidence in us. I have belief in us, because to believe in God is to believe in you. Don't ever tell me you believe in God and you don't believe in black people. That is a total contradiction. If you believe in God, you have to believe in black people, because black people are God's original people. Black people are God's first people. God created us, and after creating us, God created everyone else. We are the only people on the planet whose DNA goes straight to the Creator. Everyone else's DNA comes to us, but our DNA comes from the Creator. We were not begotten of any other people. That is an extremely powerful reality, but it is an extremely responsible one as well. And we have not been responsible with the blessings that the Creator has given to us. Brothers and sisters, I want to say happy Kwanzaa to all of you. Happy New Year to all of you. Once again, if you need to reach Dr. Umar, if you want to be part of the FDMG movement, if you want to be part of Team Pan-African, if you just need to have a conversation about some ideas for what we need to do as the #1 personality in the Black conscious community and the most requested Black scholar in the world, I am here to help you. Reach out to me, 215-989-9858, drumarjohnson.com, and also donate and support us in everything that we do. And I leave you with a quote. The most honorable Marcus Garvey said, "Without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life." Without confidence in yourself, we are twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, we have won even before we have begun. The most honorable Frederick Douglass said, "Without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started." Frederick Douglass said, "For 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom. But the good Lord gave me no freedom until I got up off my knees and began praying with my feet." He said, if a man wants to be free, then he himself must strike the first blow. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. New York City, Black America, Black Africa, Black Europe, Black Asia, Black Canada, Black Caribbean, Black Central South America, and all parts everywhere else. Black power to you. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. And on 2021, I will see you on the battlefield. Black power.
That was a great message from Dr. Umar Ifatunde. We are getting the message and we are liberating our mindsets. We are enlightening ourselves and we are also educating ourselves. You know, most of the indoctrinations through religious institutions and educational institutions has not really helped Black people to progress. Many things that we were taught were false. And that is why today, because of social media, many people have started liberating themselves through people who understand the world we find ourselves. That is why I'm using this platform to educate ourselves and also enlighten the population who are ready to learn. We have people that their brain has already been, how should I call it? Their brain has already been captured. They can't turn back. So they keep on hailing anything white and still see everything black as devil or inferior. We have people in our midst who believe in such indoctrinations. That is why in Africa, when someone died, they were black. And when someone is celebrating something, they were white, because our brains has been tuned to believe that anything black is bad luck and anything white is good luck. That is what we have been indoctrinating to believe. That is exactly why we are not really progressing, because we keep on looking down on ourselves. We look at our indigenous language as inferior, and English language or the foreign language as superior. And all these things has not helped Africans to develop. We feel happy to name our children Samuel, John, all these white names. But anytime someone mention his name and he's having the typical African name or the indigenous African names, they will look down on him, and sometimes they describe him as a villager. And that is why we are where we are. So I'll keep on bringing you message or videos that will empower you, that will help you liberate your mindset, and also that will also enlighten your mindset. Please, if today is your first time coming to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. I'm always your guy, De-Graft Amoako. Thanks for watching.